Game 1 of the 1970 World Series, and the pivotal play unique in all baseball history.
Ball right back to the pitcher. If he gets it close, that'll hang up.
There's no way, Kenny, that he tagged him. There's no way possible he ever tagged him. Kenny, you were knocked down. How can you call him out?
I said he tagged him.
Eddie, that's it. The pictures won't show that. I promise you that.
NBC Sports presents Game 1 of the 1970 World Series. The American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles, versus the National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds. The new Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, which was opened here in July. A crisp, sunny, perfect day for baseball in the opening game of the World Series. The high temperature today will be 65 degrees, and the weatherman says no chance of rain. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy of NBC. This is Jim McIntyre of the Cincinnati Reds, and roaming down in the field will be my regular season partner, Tony Kubek. And you know, the odds makers and experts have called this World Series dead even, and why not? Each team breezed through the regular season, winning over 100 games. Each team then went through and won the playoffs 3 in a row. Each team has some of baseball's biggest stars in its lineup. Each team has balance, power, hitting for average, pitching, fielding, and also good bench strength. These are two powerful teams. And if you could be named a manager for next year, or even this year, maybe for the World Series, the lineups of each team would be the kind of a lineup you'd like to manage if you had the shot. Let's take a look at the starting pitchers for today's World Series opener. And the two pitchers are almost parallel. On my left and on your left is Jim Palmer, 24 years old, who in 67 and 68 had bad arm and back problems. In fact, his entire future was in jeopardy, but he's come back to become a 20-game winner this year. And on your right is Gary Nolan, an 18-game winner, and he too had arm problems in which his future was in doubt, but he's bounced back to win 18 games this year for Cincinnati. Two young right-handers who've made it back and made it back big. So that's the setup, and we now want to turn you over to the outstanding voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Mr. Jim McIntyre.
Thank you, Kurt. Just a little bit about the Cincinnati Reds. They moved into their new home, Riverfront Stadium, and I might say this, that the people here in the Midwest are very proud of their new park. They turned out in record-setting numbers this year. Over 1,800,000 watched the Reds play at home this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for our national anthem, which will be played by the Lemon Monroe High School Band, will be sung by the Jackson 5.
Bright stars through the
that great young mod group, the Jackson 5 on the national anthem. The first game of the 1970 World Series is being brought to you from Riverfront Stadium as the Baltimore Orioles meet the Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati is where it's at, the skyline over the Ohio. And more than 50,000 fans converge in a breathtaking baseball plant, Riverfront Stadium. The circular park, symmetrical in design, is only 3 months old. Hawkers carry the message of the Big Red Machine. It's the series everybody wanted. The new Red Menace in the National League and Baltimore's runaway Orioles. Inside the stadium, a floor of artificial turf, wall to wall, the first series ever played on synthetic grass. Manager Earl Weaver, who guided the Orioles to their second consecutive pennant. National League President Chub Feeney joins his predecessor Warren Giles in the stands.
And now we rejoin the first game of the World Series.
Rookie in either starting lineup, Bernie Carbo. Bobby Tolan, the center fielder. Pete Rose, the right fielder. Johnny Bench is the catcher. And 22-year-old Gary Nolan, born in Hurlong, California, lives now in Oroville, California. His 5th professional season began in the Cincinnati organization in 1966. This year he won 18 and lost 7 with an earned run average of 3.26. He pitched a great game in the playoffs. He shut out the Pirates. Last Saturday, allowing no runs and 8 hits in 9 innings, he was removed for a pinch hitter, but he received credit for the 3-0 10-inning victory by Cincinnati. He's been rough here at home. He's won 11 and lost 3 in home games this year. And at Riverfront Stadium, you know, they moved here from Old Crosley Field midway in the season. He's won 7 out of 8 decisions. The umpires will be Ken Burkhart behind the plate. Of the National League, John Flaherty of the American League will be at first, Tony Venzone of the National at second, Stewart of the American League at third, Billy Williams of the National League down the left field line, and Emmett Ashford of the American League umpiring the right field line. 6 umpires in the game. Don Buford, who set a Baltimore club record for most walks in the season, he walked 109 times. There's his seasonal average, 272, 17 homers. Buford gets a lot of walks, but he'll jump on that first pitch if it's right where he wants it. And he can hit with some power. Last year in the World Series in Baltimore, he led off with a home run against the Mets. Here's the first pitch of the 70 series. It's a curve at the ball. The 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Pops it up. Back toward the screen comes Johnny Bench. He'll have a shot at it. 1 away.
Kurt Johnny Bench made a terrific play during the playoffs last Monday against the Pirates. He literally climbed the screen to grab a pop foul right off the edge of the screen.
Well, I saw that on TV, and it was an unbelievable grab. George Stoller is coaching at first. Billy Hunter at third for the Orioles. 1 out, nobody on. Paul Blair up. Blair hit .267 for the year. Ball 1. Didn't hit much in the playoffs. Only had 1 hit and 13 times up, but saved 4 runs alone in 1 game against the Twins. That's Boog Powell on deck. And the delivery is a high fly in the shallow left center. Woody Woodward's going back, the shortstop. He may give way. No, he doesn't. Tolan right behind him. They usually like to let that man coming on make the grab. It's easier. Woodward handled that himself all the way. So it's 2 down, as Nolan's had the first 2 Orioles popping up. Boog Powell, John Boog Powell, probably the prime candidate for most valuable player of the year honors in the American League. Smashed 35 homers, knocked in 114 runs, and hit .297. He was the leading hitter in the playoffs for the Orioles, and he's been their high average hitter in the 2 World Series. Now they're putting a shift on for him. 3 infielders on the right side, the outfield deep and toward right. You pitch him outside, though, he'll go to left field and hit it deep. Ball 1 to him. Again in the dirt, and he caught his spikes on the mound. Fastball for a strike. 2-1. Powell has hit for an average in the '66 series and last year's series against the Mets, but he hasn't hit with much power. The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
An indication that Nolan has a good fastball going for him is the fact that both Buford and Blair popped it up. It's hopping.
2 down, 2-2 the count. Nobody on. Batting on the inside corner. A 1-2-3 inning for Gary Nolan. And so at the middle of the first inning, the score is Baltimore nothing, with Cincinnati coming to bat. Boog Powell will be at first base. Dave Johnson at second. Mark Belanger, the shortstop. Brooks Robinson at third. Don Buford in left field. Paul Blair in center field. Frank Robinson, the right fielder, in the shadows in the right field area. Ellie Hendricks behind the plate. And 24-year-old Jim Palmer on the mound. Born in New York, lives now in Timonium, Maryland, a Baltimore suburb. Grew up in Los Angeles, attended high school in Scottsdale, Arizona, and his first pitch to Pete Rose is a ball. Pete Rose hit .316 this season, 15 homers, 52 RBIs. Palmer drops behind 2-0. Rose has had 200 hits or more in 5 of his 8 big league seasons. Bounding ball to short. Mark Belanger, a strong throwing arm, throws him out, and there's 1 down. Bobby Tolan, a .316 hitter for 1970, 16 homers, 80 RBIs. Strong playoffs against the Pirates. Slow curve fed to him by Palmer for a strike. Palmer first came up, all he had was a fastball. Now he has a slow curve, a change. There's his slow curve. It's hammered into right center, in the gap, and it's going to roll to the wall. Bobby Tolan is coming into second and holds there. Tolan doubles to right center, and he hit a slow curveball.
And here's a good look at Bobby's cut at that pitch. Got the end of the bat on it and still jerked it around to right center field. Big stride and good power.
Jim Palmer, one of Baltimore's 320 game winners, is tapped for the opener. And the Reds' Bobby Tolan, a hero in the playoffs, fires a first shot. A crisp double to right center.
Oh, the Reds are threatening. They have 1 down. Tolan in second and Tony Perez up. Perez hits a high fly ball out to Frank Robinson, backpedaling toward the warning track. Tolan's tagging at second. Here comes Tolan the third. 2 down. Perez went right after that first pitch and flied to right. Johnny Bench. How'd you like to have this boy's future? Just 22 years old. Earl Weaver, the Baltimore manager. Johnny Bench led the majors in homers this year with 45, in RBIs with 148 and hit .293. Just 22 years old and already has completed his 3rd full year in the major league. He broke Ted Blazewski's old RBI mark of 141. Runner on third, 2 down, no score. Last of the first inning, he lines it into left field for a base hit, and Cincinnati's out in front 1-0. And their first ball hitting against Jim Palmer.
The rock-ribbed figure of Johnny Bench. Tolan on third, 2 out. And Bench comes through in his first World Series swing. Tolan scores. Cincinnati goes for more.
The 1-0 pitch. Line shot to left. Don Buford plays it on the hop. Bench is stopping at second. The throw comes into Belanger. And the Reds now have had 3 solid hits here in this first inning.
Lee May wraps another single to left. May, one of the less glorified thumpers in that big red machine. And Bench paused at second. Now the only rookie in either lineup, Bernie Carbo.
He hits to the opposite field with power. He's a free swinger up there. A Detroit, Michigan boy. The pitch to him, a slow one, ball 1. Fastball's over. 1 ball, 1 strike. When Bench was picked in the 1965 free agent draft in the 2nd round, Carbo was the first draft pick that year for Cincinnati. In other words, the Reds went for Carbo over Bench.
Right.
But they ended up with both of them. There's a line shot to third to Brooks Robinson. The Orioles are out of the inning, but 4 balls hit hard that inning against Jim Palmer. 1 run for the Reds, 3 hits. There were no errors and 2 men left. At the end of the 1st inning, it's Cincinnati 1 and Baltimore nothing.
And you're seeing the start of the Brooks Robinson story. The inning is over. The Reds on top by 1.
In the 2nd inning, Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, and Ellie Hendricks will be up for the Orioles. And Frank Robinson, as he said, it's like coming back to your hometown. He's returning to Cincinnati, the club that traded him away in one of the worst deals ever made in baseball history. He went to Baltimore. They said he was an old 30. This is 5 years later. He's 35, and he's still a great player. He had 306 this year, 25 homers, 78 runs batted in. He's never hit for an average in the 3 World Series he's been in, but he's had at least 1 homer in every series. There's a high fly into left center. Moving over is Carbo, coming on, stolen, and it's Carbo for the grab. I'm having some trouble getting together out there so far. 1 out. And Nolan has him hitting the ball in the air so far. Brooks Robinson hit 276 this season. 18 homers, 94 runs batted in. 3-1 pitch to Brooks Robinson. Swung on, grounded to Perez. Backhanded stab, long throw at third. Tony Perez with a fine play at third. 2 away. Two down, nobody on. Cincinnati ahead, 1-0. Top of the 2nd. And a 3-2 pitch coming up to the Baltimore catcher, Ellie Hendricks. Went for a bad pitch and pops it up. Lee May in foul ground. The Orioles again go down 1-2-3. So in the middle of the 2nd inning, the score is Cincinnati 1 and Baltimore nothing. Tommy Helms had an off season at the plate this year, hitting .237. And what a defensive second base he played. That's popped up to the left side. Brooks Robinson. 1 down. Woody Woodward hit .223 with 1 homer, 14 runs batted in. I think he'll swing late on Palmer. Bounding ball to Robinson at third. Throw a little high and holds Powell off the bag. Boy, that's something you rarely see. Brooks Robinson making an erratic throw. He had a lot of time on that one, Jim.
Take a good look at it here now. You'll see Boot Powell. Watch his feet. The throw is high. He goes up in the air to grab the ball just as Woodward lands on the bag. An eyelash before Powell's foot came down.
That's an error charged on Brooks Robinson. There's the pitcher. Strike to him. And he's hitting away with a hit and run on. Woodward was going.
That's something you don't see often. The manager put on a hit and run with his pitcher up there.
The bunt. And that's a good one. Robinson makes the play. They had Nolan bunting on the 3rd strike, and he jumped it successfully. 2 down. Woody Woodward's in scoring position at 2nd.
Here's a good look at Gary bunting that ball. The pitch was up where he could bunt it, and he laid it right down. Beautiful bunt with 2 strikes. That's what you call doing the job.
There are 2 Cincinnati-born players in this series, and one of them is at bat right now, Pete Rose. Baltimore coach Jim Fry is the other, and both went to Western Hills High School here. The 2-0 pitch. Foul back. Ty Cobb, 9 times in his career, had 200 hits or more in the season. 200 doesn't sound like a lot, but believe me, that's a lot of base hits in 1 year. Rose has done it 5 times. and thinks he has a chance to catch the great Cobb. 2-1. 2 down. Woodward at second. Bounding ball. Belanger charges it right across the bag and throws him out. And Palmer takes the Reds out in the second. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 2 innings in Cincinnati, the score, the Cincinnati Reds 1 and the Baltimore Orioles nothing. Dave Johnson starts it off for the Orioles in the third. Ball 1 to him. Johnson hitting .281 for the season. 10 homers, 53 runs batted in. He can go to right field. They're playing him straight away. There's a high fly in the shallow left center. Backing up is the second baseman, Tommy Helms. 1 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the first 7 hitters have popped up. Mark Belanger had a rough year at the plate. Finally got going in the last couple of weeks. Before the All-Star game, he was hitting .170, and after the All-Star game, the rest of the year, he hit .270, but a slow start. Got him on a good fastball. Threw it right by him. Second strikeout for Gary Nolan. And he looks just like he did last Saturday in Pittsburgh when he shut out the Pirates, a hard-hitting team, for 8 innings. Jim Palmer, good athlete Palmer. He can hit, he can field his position, he can run. Nubs it off the end of the bat to Tommy Helms. Little flip over to Lee May. Another strong 1, 2, 3 innings for Gary Nolan. At the end of 2.5 innings, the score, Cincinnati 1 and Baltimore nothing. There it is, 51,531 for the receipts for the first World Series game. And Bobby Tolan, who led the Reds in their playoff series with Pittsburgh in batting, is picking right up where he left off. He's a cousin of the late Eddie Tolan, the gold medal winner in the 100 and 200 meter dashes in the 32 Olympics. Looks like he wanted a bunt, and he is an excellent drag bunter.
That's his forte, if you want to look at it that way. He can drag the ball and has good speed. He can also lay it down the third base side. It'd be interesting here on the artificial turf to see if he'll test Robinson at third base.
3-1 for Bobby Tolan. He came to the Reds in a trade along with relief pitcher Wayne Granger. Vada Pinson went to the Cardinals, a trade that has worked out beautifully for Cincinnati. And he's on, the Major League leading base stealer, Bobby Tolan, with 57 stolen bases on first.
Palmer seems to be laboring. Now he walks Tolan, the Major League leading base stealer.
There he goes, and the pitch is high. Hendricks can't get it out of his net. Stolen base for Bobby Tolan. Tolan's on second, nobody out. A high fastball. Hendricks was trying to dig it out of there and come down to cock the throw. And couldn't put it all together to make the peg. The 2-1 pitch by Jim Palmer. A high fly ball into right center. Tolan's tagging at second. Frank Robinson handles it. Here comes Tolan, holding, throws into Belanger. Tolan stays at second. Twice Perez is flying out to right. Johnny Bench didn't waste any time in the first inning. He lined the first pitch to him for a single in the right and brought in the first run. Jim Palmer has been a durable performer this year, tied with Sam McDowell for the most innings pitched in the American League, 305. There's a pop in the shallow right. Going out is Davy Johnson. Boog Powell guides him all the way. 2 down. Tolan stays at second, and Lee May will be up now. May, single to left his first time. Palmer has not struck out a batter so far. Last Monday, he struck out 12 Minnesota players. Strike to May for his high seasonal strikeouts in one game. In fact, in his career. So far, he hasn't had that strikeout pitch. Sometimes he gets through the early innings, like a lot of pitchers, and gets better as the game goes along. A one-strike pitch. Slow curve is over. Beautiful pitch. Strike 2 to Lee May. 2 down. Bobby Tolan at second. He hit the curveball deep to left. That ball is going and good, a home run. Palmer hung a 2-strike curve. He'd like to have that pitch back.
Watch Palmer on this pitch now as he serves up this curveball. Got it up high to Lee May. He knew he didn't want to get it there.
With 2 down, Lee May comes up for a second time. And he tags the 2-strike pitch. The ball clears the yellow marker of the inner home run fence. Tolan scores again. And Lee May chases him around.
Come on, Lee! Way to go, buddy!
The big bopper from Birmingham, Alabama.
And the Baltimore Earl Weaver and Bamberger there are going to get more action going. 3-0 now, Cincinnati. Ball 3. That home run is taken up by Jim Palmer. 2 strikes on May, and he gave him the slow curve and hung it on him. Tom Phoebus warming up again. Ball 4. Carlo walks. 2 walks this inning. Tommy Helms will be coming up. Tom Phoebus, the second time he's warmed up. Carbo on first. He stole 10 bases this past season. There he goes on the first pitch. Hendricks throws, and it's high, and he's in there. Oh, he's out. He's got him.
All right, take a look now. You'll see the play at second base. Carbo had a good lead, but they pitched out, and Hendricks did get away. A good throw, although it was high. It was there ahead of the runner. And Carbo evidently missed the bag. Let's take a good look. The throw is up high. Belanger comes down with it. Bernie reaching around with his hand for the base, but didn't find it in time.
So in the last of the third, 2 runs, 1 hit. There were no errors, no one left. At the end of 3, it's Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore nothing. Top of the order for Baltimore, Buford, Blair, and Powell. They've had 9 men up, and 9 men go back to that dugout. The Reds had 3 runs, 4 hits. Baltimore, no runs, no hits. It's a high fly ball out to right fielder Pete Rose. Notice the shadows in the right field corner. 1 down. 10 in a row retired now by Nolan and the Reds. Paul Blair popped up. Nolan was the Cincinnati opening day pitcher in 1969. Struck out 12 in that game. Lost to the Dodgers 3-2. His next time out, he pulled a muscle in his right forearm, and he wasn't able to pitch effectively until August of that season. There's a slow roller. This is a tough play. No play. Perez just let him go. Blair on first with an infield hit. That's the first hit for the Orioles and their first base runner. Boog Powell, the batter. Nolan started this game with a 10-inning scoreless streak. Now has pitched 13 of the third scoreless innings in a row. Last regular game with the Dodgers, the playoff into the World Series. Powell is one of the best swings in Major League Baseball. Oh, and big boy, but he has a level, perfectly grooved swing. On deck, Frank Robinson. The 2-0 pitch. That's a pitch he likes. There's a long drive to left. That ball is gone, a home run. He'll murder that outside pitch and hit it deep to left. He hit 3 at Fenway Park one day, all up on the left field screen to the opposite field. So now it's 3-2. Boog Powell's 2-run homer.
All right, take a good close look at Gary Nolan as he lets it go, and Boog Powell as he takes that big cut at that outside pitch.
Cincinnati's Gary Nolan takes a 3-run lead into the 4th when the biggest bird of them all answers back.
He's a man-mountain bean, that guy. He do steal you. That ball is out of here, boys. Forget it. Forget it.
A 2-run homer. Boog Powell's been doing it all year with consistency. One swing of the bat, and the Orioles are back in the ball game. They trail by 1, 3-2.
Boog Powell got a big greeting when he went to that Baltimore dugout. A high fly out to right fielder Rose. Right in his tracks almost. 2 down. Brooks Robinson grounded out his first time. Ground ball to third. Perez picks it up. Got him. And the Baltimore Orioles in the 4th had 2 runs, 2 hits, a 2-run homer by Boog Powell. There were no errors, no one left. At the end of 3.5 innings, the score is Cincinnati 3, Baltimore 2. Tommy Helms leading off for the Reds in the last of the 4th. Palmer's over with a strike to him. Helms popped up his first time. Tommy's from North Carolina. That state has turned out a lot of major league ball players. 3-1. In this World Series, we have them from everywhere. I think California is the leader. 3-2. California has 6 native sons in this World Series. The only state with more than one. Oh, there's some of the others. There's a fly ball in the left center. Paul Blair drawing a beat on it. 1 down. We have him here from the Virgin Islands, Cuba, Panama, Venezuela, Poland. Also Hawaii. Woody Woodward pops it up. Powell coming on. The big first baseman has it, and they're 2 down. Well, that home run swing of Boog Powell seemed to pick up Jim Palmer. Gary Nolan gets a hand. He sacrificed his first time. Two away, nobody on. That's a pitch for you.
Oh, that's got to be embarrassing. The ball just slipped out of Palmer's hand, but when you have it do that.
I've seen him, you know, Jim. Watch this pitch. This is one of the strangest pitches in World Series history. That looked like a backward delivery of Rip Sewell's blooper ball that went the wrong way.
I will say this, he had great form.
Yes, sir, he had to follow through.
Yes, he did.
And now he's going through the motions of, it was a delivery.
Right.
Well, the ball never left the mound. Went up above his head. Ball 2, that is the strangest pitch, I believe, that you'll ever see in the World Series or ever have seen. 2-0. Fly ball to straightaway center. Drifting a little bit over in right center now goes Paul Blair. And the Reds are down for the first time in the game, 1-2-3. Well, we've gone 4 innings here in Cincinnati, and our score is Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore 2. Ellie Hendricks leads off for the Orioles in the top of the 5th. He fouled out his first time. Hendricks, Johnson, and Belanger against Gary Nolan. There's a drive hit to deep right field. Rose looking up and watches it sail into the seats, and this game is tied. Ellie Hendricks pulls it to right in the corner. Those are football stadium seats. That's why they're not sold here for the World Series. 3 home runs already, 2 by the Orioles and 1 by the Reds.
Here's a good look at Ellie Hendricks' swing on this home run pitch. Big stride. He raises that foot up, and he got it right on the meat part of the bat. And as we said, the ball carries very well down the lines here at Riverfront Stadium. And there's Ellie in the dugout being congratulated.
First pitch by Nolan. And another blast. This one sailing into the shadows of the right field stand. It's all tied up, and the American Leaguers are getting their own message across. As a run-making machine, they matched the Reds. In fact, over the full season, they were 17 runs better. And to borrow Casey Stengel's favorite expression, you can look it up.
Rookie now. Third strikeout for Gary Nolan. Belanger struck out his first time. Fastball for strike 3. 4 strikeouts. Jim Palmer grounded out his first time. Game tied 3-3, top of the 5th. Struck him out. He struck out the side in the 5th after Hendricks led off with a home run. 1 run for the Orioles, 1 hit. There were no errors, nobody left. We've gone halfway at the end of 4.5 innings. It's Baltimore 3 and Cincinnati 3. Pre-game show hosted by Joe Garagiola with Sandy Koufax and Mickey Mantle. Tomorrow is Cuellar pitching for Baltimore. McLaughlin for the Reds, and pitching now is Jim McIntyre, the voice of the Cincinnati Reds.
Thank you very much, Kurt. And hello, everybody. Rose, the top of the order, has bounced out twice to shortstop. And he ran up on that pitch like he was going to bunt it, and it was called strike 1. Pete, one of the few good switch hitters in baseball, fouls 1 back. 2 strikes. And now they're going to say that Hendricks tipped his bat, and Rose has been awarded first base. As he took a cut at the ball, his bat hit Hendricks' mitt, and he's given first base.
Strange things happening in this first World Series game.
Rose crawfishes away. Tolan loops a fly to center, but Blair is there. 1 out. First time Tolan hasn't been on base. Tony Perez has twice flied to Frank Robinson in right field. Deep right center. Blair backing over. 2 out. Rose trying to draw the throw, and does. 2 away. Johnny Bench, who appeared on the cover of about 5 different national magazines this year. Back of the plate might be a play. Hendricks, yes, side retired. Reds in the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 man left. At the end of 5, the score is Baltimore 3, Cincinnati 3.
You know, Jim, when Hendricks, the catcher, interfered with Pete Rose, that would have been an interesting situation if the play had continued some base running, because the manager of the offensive team would have had the option to refuse the interference call.
Right over Nolan's ear. Buford is on with his first hit, the Orioles 4th. And we're even in the hit column now, 4 each.
And we've got one of the 2 top base runners now, the Orioles on base. Blair led with 24 stolen bases. Buford swiped 16. So he may be a threat here on the bases.
I think the crowd would get a kick out of seeing Bench try to cut Buford down. Blair beat out that little nubber down the 3rd baseline his last time up. Bunt try popped up, and Bench couldn't quite get there. 2 strikes now to Blair. Struck him. So that's 6 strikeouts for Gary Nolan. 1 down, 1 on. 6th inning, score tied 3-3. And Big Boog Powell comes strolling out of there. Nolan has to take a deep breath. Throw to first. Back save. Buford had to come in, diving, hand outstretched. One thing about Johnny Bench, he'll throw anytime, anywhere, to any base. in an effort to pick off a runner. He doesn't hold anything back. Touted as perhaps the greatest arm in many, many years. Great young catcher. 2-0 pitch. Lee May, short hop. Out at second, back to first. Hitting the back double play. That's 3-6-3, and the Orioles are out in the 6th inning. So at the middle of the 6th, it's the Reds 3, and here's another look at that double play.
Well, this is the old baseball cliche, the double play the hard way, first to short and back to first, and the Reds have just pulled it off.
Now in the middle of the 6th inning, the Reds 3 and the Orioles 3. Jim Palmer getting ready to go to work in the last half of the 6th inning for the Orioles will face Lee May, who has been up twice with a single and a home run. That is foul.
Jim, it's rare to see Jim Palmer go through 5 innings without a strikeout.
Since the Reds opened Riverfront Stadium June the 30th of this year, 2 balls have been hit in the Red seats in left field. One by Tony Perez and one by Richie Allen. Fair ball. Great play by Robinson.
Look at that.
Oh, great day in the morning. What a play.
Well, he does it in big games. Watch this play. 33-year-old Brooke Robinson. Going to his right for this one. He goes better to his left than the right, but how can you beat this? And getting a ball away off balance and still there, even though on a bounce.
It's still 3-3. Lee May leading off the 6th. And a spectacular stop and throw by Brooks Robinson gets him. Or does it? From ground level this time, the ball clearly beats the runner. It only seemed he didn't have a chance.
Just a remarkable play. That's one of the best plays you'll ever see a third baseman make in a World Series game. And he made some great ones last year against the Mets. And also against the Dodgers in '66.
Oh, boy. What a play. Ball one high to Carbo. Bernie has a tremendous batting eye. 1 ball, 1 strike. He led the Cincinnati Reds in bases on ball through 94 walks in 125 games. Ball 4. That's the 3rd walk given up by Jim Palmer. It comes with 1 out in the 6th inning. And Tommy Helms to the plate. Helms is one batter in the Reds lineup that Sparky Anderson likes to hit and run with. He can go to right field. His only home run was hit here in Riverfront Stadium this year. Hit and run, and it's in center. Carbo for third base. First pitch, hit and run. Helms singles to center. Carbo to third. 5 hits for the Reds off Palmer.
You got 1 away now. Your best arm's in center field out there.
Ty Klein is getting a bat. And is going to come up. Ty Klein is going to bat for Woody Woodward. Darrell Cheney is loosening up for the Reds down the right field line and will go to play shortstop, no doubt.
This fella does as well pinch hitting in the World Series as he did in the playoffs. He'll be all right, Jim.
Yes, he will. He came through. Well, let's see. There's Earl Weaver. He's scratching Klein off the list right there. Slow curve. Trouble. Ellie Hendricks. Oh, and the umpire went down, and Carbo is arguing. Sparky Anderson will come out and put in his 2 cents. Hendricks just stepped out in front of the plate, came down with the ball, turned around, and got Carbo sliding in.
Very unusual play. Watch this ball bounce and hang in fair territory right up above the plate. Hendricks has no play at first, and here's his only play as he makes the tag on Carbo sliding in. Let's watch Bernie Carbo now coming in from third on the instant replay in slow motion. Now he's going to try and hook around the tag. That ball's coming down to Hendricks. Here's Hendricks going for him. That's it. Sparky Anderson going back to the dugout. At the fielder's choice, decline. Carbo's out at home. Helms is on second. That makes it 2 down now for the Reds. And Anderson's still boiling.
Yes, he is. He is hot under the collar.
I'll help
Pinch hitter is Ty Klein.
Ball right back to the pitcher. You got to go. If it gets you cold, try to hang up, okay?
Now, fasten your seat belts. We're heading right for the eye of the storm.
There's no way possible he ever tagged him. No way. Get out of here. Get out of there. You were right here and he knocked you over and went around. There's no way possible, Kenny. There's no way you can even see the play.
Danny, I said he tagged him.
How could you see if he tagged him, Kenny, when you were knocked down? Huh? Kenny, no. Kenny, you were knocked down. How can you call him out?
I said he tagged him. Danny, that's it.
The pitchers won't show that, I promise you that.
Let's play it again. The picture clearly proves, 1, the ball is in the wrong hand, and 2, the runner misses the plate.
I don't see how you can claim umpire interference. Nolan is going to bat for himself. Foul back, strike 1.
He did have to slide out to his right with the umpire there.
I think that might have been why Sparky was a little bit put out. Paul Blair. In and over. And that ends it. In the 6th inning for the Reds, no runs. 1 hit, 2 runners left on. And the score at the end of the 6th inning is the Reds 3 and the Orioles 3. Now, before the Orioles bat in the 7th inning, let's go to Tony Kubek.
With me, the editor and publisher of the Sporting News, one of the most knowledgeable men in baseball, Mr. J. Johnson Spink. Mr. Spink, you had a good view at that last play. What'd you call it?
Well, I thought that the umpire obstructed the slide in the home plate, and I think that's what Adams, I don't think he was arguing about whether it was safe or out. I think that he felt that the umpire obstructed his path.
A quick expert opinion on the outcome of this series.
Well, I think I'll have to go with Baltimore in their pitching.
Mr. Spink, thank you. Let's go back to the booth.
Frank Robinson will lead off for Baltimore in the 7th inning. Darrell Cheney is the new shortstop for the Reds. Fair or foul? Foul ball. Strike 1. If you get the pitch on the inside half of the plate, Robinson, who stands up on top of the plate as close as anybody, he can hit it a long way. 1 strike. High pop-up, right side. Lee May, 1 away. Here's Brooks Robinson. What a play. What a terrific play he made on that ground ball at third base on Lee May. Major League and World Series kind of play. Good fastball. Robinson none for 2. Twice he's bounced out to Perez at third base. They play him straight away. Left field. Carbo going back. Warning track. Looks up. Over. Brooks Robinson has given the Orioles the lead with a home run, the third hit for Baltimore today, and it's 4-3 Orioles.
Now here's our split screen. Nolan, watch him after delivers the pitch. Brooks Robinson swing. Not a big home run hitter, but he'll cash in his share.
A game breaker in the top of the seventh. For Robinson, his first hit of the series, and coupled with his brilliance in the field, it makes him the first-day hero.
What do they say about a picture? 1,000 words.
What do you have to say?
Brooks quite happy about it. First pitch was low for a ball to Hendricks. He hits one to right, and it is a foul ball. Emmett Ashford, the right field foul line umpire, followed that one just to the right of the foul screen.
This fella can jerk that ball out in a hurry. There's Emmett Ashford, the right field umpire down the line. A quick bat, Jim.
Yes, he has. Brooks Robinson's home run was his second home run in World Series play. Good off-speed pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out on a curveball. That's 7 strikeouts for Gary Nolan. 2 down for the Orioles in the 7th. And coming out, Dave Johnson. Ball 4. That's the first base on balls off Nolan, and it may be an indication that he's getting a little tired. So Baltimore has a runner at first, 2 out, and Mark Belanger, the shortstop, coming up. He only hit .217 for the season, but from the All-Star break on, he found the range and began to hit much better. He's none for 2 today. He's been a strikeout victim twice, once swinging and once called. Toss to first. Time had been called by the first base umpire. Just as Nolan let go of the ball, John Flaherty called time, and Sparky Anderson is headed for the mound, and he's going to bring in Clay Carroll. So he evidently decided that Gary was also getting tired when he gave up that first walk, and he brings on Clay Carroll from the bullpen. Well, fans, there's a break in the action here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The score is Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 3. Go to Tony Kubek down in the stands. Tony?
If you're a fan of the bold ones, you'll recognize this fellow, Mr. David Hartman. Dave, I understand you're going to be doing some work for Major League Baseball.
You betcha. We feel it's a very positive thing, Tony, baseball, and for kids, that they can do a lot of good by playing baseball instead of doing other things.
Let's go upstairs right now, David, and I'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right, Tony. Clay Carroll's first pitch is inside to Mark Belanger, ball 1. Clay won 9, lost 4 on the season, and there's his earned run average, 2.60. From Clanton, Alabama, Clay Carroll. Base hit, right field, that's Rose. Johnson holds at second. 6 hits for Baltimore now, runners at first and second. And Palmer will swing the bat.
He's no automatic out up there. He hit a double against the Twins Monday to help himself, knock in some runs.
Strike 3 call. Baltimore is down in the 7th, scoring 1 run with 2 hits, left 2 men on. And the score in the middle of the 7th inning is the Orioles 4, the Reds 3. Pete Rose up to lead off for Cincinnati in the 7th and takes a call strike. Pete has been up 3 times without a hit. Was awarded first base on Hendricks' interference last time up. Foul. A foot outside the line. 2 strikes to Rose. Right center should be easy. Robinson or Blair, both there. Blair. 1 out.
That was a good changeup pitch by Palmer. Took just a little off, and that's the pitch he's come up with. It has helped him to even make his fastball look better.
Bobby Tolan has been on 2 runs for the Reds here today. Doubled and scored in the first, walked and scored in the 3rd. season figures for him. And a vicious cut and a good fastball. 2 strikes. Did he? Hendricks thought he did. Pegged the third, but Burkhart says no.
Here comes Weaver out again. Get back. Now they've called for the third base umpire, Bob Stewart, to give a judgment, and he said also it was a check swing. Sometimes that home plate umpire gets blocked out on his view behind the catcher.
Last year, you know, Weaver was ejected from the game for coming out protesting a call strike. Left center, Buford, yes. 2 out for the Reds in the 7th inning. Baltimore leading 4-3. Tony Perez strolls up. So far today, Palmer has done an excellent job of keeping the ball away from Perez. Twice he's got him on fly balls to right field, and once to right center, a ball that Blair caught. He's high with that one. 2 balls, 1 strike. Make it 3-1. Johnny Bench, a picture of concentration. Ball 4. That's the 4th walk given up by Palmer. And takes Hendricks out to top with his pitcher. And brings some action down to the bullpen for the Orioles. Pete Rickert, number 24, left-hander. And Dick Hall, is a right-hander, is going to join him. Johnny Bench led the club in producing the runs that won games during the year, with Perez at first and 2 out. Vicious cut, foul back, strike 1. Palmer has walked 4 and has not struck out a batter. Has only allowed 5 hits. 2 extra base hits, a homer, a double, 3 singles. That one bounces to the backstop. Perez to second as the ball is played by Hendricks to hold him at second base. A wild pitch. And a Hall on the left, number 29. Rickard on the right, throw a little harder. Brooks Robinson. That ends the Reds' 7th. No runs, no hits. A man walked left on at the end of 7 innings of play. It's the Orioles 4 and the Reds 3.
My impression is the cabinet is not willing to free the prisoners, but it's now a question of whose nerve will break first, the terrorists or the government's, as the hours tick by. Ron Collister on Parliament Hill.
Now back to the first game of the World Series with play in the top of the 8th inning.
Paul Blair. Good speed. To Perez, big hop. 2 down.
The way Clay Carroll looks, you can understand why the Cincinnati manager, Sparky Anderson, gives nothing away to Baltimore's pitching. For sure, they've got 3 great starters, but we have a better bullpen.
3-2 again. Got it inside. Walked him. That's the second Baltimore batter to get a base on ball. The first off play Carroll, of course. And here's Frank Robinson, who has been thwarted the first 3 times up against his former club, a team that you know he would like to do well against. Strike, outside corner, knee high. Off-speed curveball. Strike 3 call. No runs, no hits. A man walked left on in the 8th inning for Baltimore. So, at the end of 7 1/2 innings, it's Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 3. Down in the bullpen for Cincinnati, right-hander, left-hander. And in the Baltimore bullpen, right-hander, left-hander is May. Bounces one to Belanger at short. And is an easy out at first. Bernie Carbo has walked twice and lined out to Robinson at third base. Bernie has collected 2 of the 4 walks off Palmer. That's caught by Robinson at third again. Twice Carbo has hit it right off the end of the bat, right to Robinson at third.
Well, you know why they call Brooks Robinson the human vacuum.
That's right.
What quick reflexes he has. A must for a major league third baseman.
2 men are out in the last half of the 8th inning. Baltimore leads 4-3. Game 1, World Series, 1970. Left center. Both of them are there, and Blair makes the catch, and that retires the Reds in the 8th. Nothing across. So at the end of 8 innings, it's Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 3.
Give me the commissioner of baseball. Mr. Commissioner, pretty good play by this fella, hitting.
I tell you, it's as good a play at third base as I've ever seen. I didn't believe he could make it. It was a very key play because it's followed by 2 hits.
Quite an exciting first game of the World Series.
It's a terrific game. They're beautifully matched teams, and it's showing up just that way.
Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Okay, Tony.
The gentleman that the commissioner was talking about, Brooks Robinson, at the plate, fouls off the first pitch, strike 1.
And he was voted by the Baltimore fans last year as the greatest player in the history of the Orioles. You can see why, the way he's performed today.
A home run and some great plays at third base. 2-2. And the pitcher is throwing out of that bright sunshine.
That makes it tough for the hitter.
You bet. Three strikeouts for Clay Carroll as Robinson is caught looking. 1 out in the 9th inning. Ellie Hendricks, who hit a home run in the 5th inning that tied up the game. Tall, angular, good power. Strike call. 2 strikes. Struck him out. Clay Carroll getting his 4th strikeout. 2 away, and Davy Johnson. Nice play. Clanton, Alabama, hometown. Now lives in Bradenton, Florida.
Jim, 11 Orioles have struck out. They're still leading.
That's right. Funny game sometimes. That's in there. Right center. Coleman cuts it off. Here, he bobbles the ball, trying for 2. Johnson. Save at second base.
Hustling base running by Davy Johnson, and he had his eye on the ball as he rounded first, which made it possible for him to get in there.
I think they've ruled that a double all the way, Kurt, but we'll wait and see. Mark Belanger will be the batter with the runner at second, and he'll walk him intentionally to get to the pitcher. An intentional walk to Mark Belanger. Pops it up. Short right. Helms. May. Rose calls him off it and takes it for the 3rd out. In the 9th for Baltimore, no runs are hit and 2 men left. And so at the middle of the 9th inning, it's Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 3.
Pinch will be batting left. Angel Bravo, another left-hander, has come out on deck to hit for Carroll. And then Pete Rose, and here's Jim Palmer, the last of the 9th.
First pitch is cut on, missed by Stu. Strike 2 call. Struck him out, and that's his first strikeout of the game. And he gets pinch hitter Jimmy Stewart, and here's Angel Bravo. Little Angel, obtained by Bob Howsam in a trade for Jerry Rigo from the Chicago White Sox. He led the Pacific Coast League in batting last year. He's been strictly a pinch hitter for the Reds, played only a couple of 3 games in the outfield. He hit .310 as a pinch hitter this year with 13 for 42. Rarely pulls the ball to the right side. Palmer and the Birds smell a victory. Good, high, hard one.
You can see in these last 2 innings, that ball coming out of that bright sun into the shadows, they don't seem to be picking up the ball as they did earlier in the game, the hitters.
Strike 2, let her high, fastball. Sparky Anderson with George Sugar, the fellow in the jacket. Sparky's right-hand man in the dugout. Bravo strikes out, and Palmer is rearing back and throwing and playing a little hardball right now. Pete Rose will try to keep the Reds alive. He has not had a hit today, gone none for 4. There's the season figures. Up high. 2-0. 3-0 to Pete Rose. Next would be Bobby Tolan. Missed with it, ball 4, and Rose was taking that on shoulder. That's the 5th walk, and here's Earl Weaver bouncing out of the Oriole dugout, headed for the mound. 5 walks off Jim Palmer. Now, you have to know Palmer wants to finish this game, and I think Weaver would like to see him finish, but 1-run lead, he's going to bring in his left-hander from the bullpen.
Well, he didn't like the way Palmer threw those 4 balls in a row to Rose. He was way out of the strike zone, taking no chances. He wants to go for the percent and pitch the left-hander against the left-hander.
You're right, Kurt. Now there's a break in the action here at Riverfront Stadium. The score is Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 3. All right, it's Bobby Tolan with Rose at first and 2 out in the 9th inning, last half. Pete Rickert, the left-hander, on the mound with the pitch to Tolan. Caught by Belanger, and the game ends. Handle hit right off the end of the bat, 1, right to Mark Belanger. Rickert comes in, makes 1 pitch, and wraps up game 1 of the 1970 World Series. In the inning, no runs. 1 man left on. Pete Rose, who drew a base on balls, and the Orioles have taken the lead in the 1970 series, winning the first game 5-4.
In the 9th, Palmer walks Pete Rose after getting his first 2 strikeouts of the game. Despite the struggle of the early innings, he's done well. But the manager wants a fresh arm, and Palmer leads. Pete Rickert faces Bobby Tolan. 1 pitch, and Bobby's soft liner is taken by Mark Belanger for the final out. The Orioles, who set a league record by winning 41-run games, do it again in the World Series opening.